Hey everybody, welcome back to the Post-Gazette Sports YouTube channel. I'm Brian Batko, joined by my fellow Steelers beat writer, Ray Fittipaldo. Final update from OTAs this week down here at UPMC Rooney Sports Complex on the South Side, brought to you by Savinas, Kane, and Gallucci. Mesothelioma and asbestos lawyers, over 85 years of experience. Call them now for a free consultation. And Ray, not a whole lot of, nothing newsworthy personnel-wise, comings and goings really to note here, but obviously you talk to individual players, you get updates on how was your off season, what kind of shape are you in, did you change your body at all?
Right.
What stood out to you as the gathered Steelers came streaming off of the field today behind us?
Yeah, for me, I'm going to write about Payton Wilson, and for now at least, Payton Wilson is running next to Patrick Queen as a starting 3-down linebacker. Now listen, they acquired Malik Harrison, they signed him to a 2-year deal.
I'll say this much, he's a big dude. When you see Malik Harrison out there,
yeah.
Obviously he came in for his intro presser, and you can watch him on tape, and you look at him on a roster. Was he 6'3", 245 or something listed at? But you actually see him fill out that jersey, and the Steelers have not had an inside linebacker that size in a while.
Yeah, so you got Harrison, who they've committed $10 million to over 2 years. You also have Cole Holcomb, who's trying to come back from the injury. But for now, Payton Wilson is trying to be that guy. And he played last year as a rookie, 235. He's up to 242, so he added 7 pounds to handle.
And from watching him at NC State, I doubt he ever weighed anywhere close to that when he was running around for the Wolfpack.
He actually said he played at 235 at NC State. Now, maybe that was
I meant
last
242.
Year.
Yeah,
no, he never.
Yeah.
He said that's the heaviest he's ever been.
Okay.
So he's trying to add a little bit of weight for the added responsibilities. Said he hasn't lost any speed, so I think that'll be something interesting to watch here this spring.
No one ever does, Ray. No one ever does say, I am a little slower than I was before.
Like 40
but
time isn't quite what it was.
Right.
But, that to me, they're experimenting with it right now. They have those other 2 guys who could certainly play, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to find, some answers there at inside linebacker with Landon Roberts, who I thought was sort of a sneaky, significant loss for them this offseason. And I hesitate to even call it a loss. They let him go. I mean, they signed Malik Harrison instead of Roberts. Now you get a little bit more versatility with him, someone who could play outside linebacker in a pinch, somebody who can run down on special teams at his age. So, I mean, you get some different looks with Harrison, but we all know how much of a key cog Roberts was these last 2 years in certain running down situations.
Yeah, Landon Roberts was a good player. I was surprised that I think he signed for pretty much half as much as Malik Harrison.
I want to say 1 year, $3 million from the Raiders. You all can check me on that, of course.
Yeah, and listen, that happens when you get older. I think Landon was 32 going on 33, so it's a natural thing, right? Payton Wilson is on the upswing. You want to see if he can handle more. You let a guy like that go, but you sort of backfill it with guys like Harrison. Okay, we know you can play in the league. You might be a starter, you might not be, but I think they actually handled that pretty well this offseason.
And a guy like Cole Holcomb, I mean, there have been some clips going around of him. Now it's just drills. It's the stuff that we can film and post online are really just sort of your routine, ball, trying to punch a ball out or, linebacker flow into the ball or whatever. But you wouldn't know that he was coming off of a major injury. Obviously, we'll see how he looks, in training camp and when he's back at game speed. But that's kind of an interesting wrinkle to have now on that defense.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who hasn't played football since early November of 2024. I mean, he
2023.
23, excuse me.
Right after the trade deadline that year, he went there.
He missed the entire 2024 season, and he came back and practiced a little bit, like in December.
Yeah, and Omar Khan said he probably
January.
could have suited up if they had gone further in the playoffs, but you take that with a grain of salt because it didn't happen.
Yeah, so obviously, he was at the point, probably 5-6 months ago where he could have played if he had to, but I'm sure the extra rest was good for him. And getting back out here, I think anytime you have a major injury like that, we've seen other players around the league try to come back from stuff that was similar. It doesn't always work out that way, so hopefully for Holcomb, this can have a happy ending.
On the offensive side of the ball, had a few minutes with Kenneth Gainwell, new running back coming in from the Philadelphia Eagles. He was initially 21, I believe, on the roster. He's now switched to 14, vacated by George Pickens. He said, unfortunately, his wife's one uncle went out and bought a 21 Gainwell jersey immediately after that was made official, and now he's going to have to get that altered. Hopefully the Gainwell family and friends have good seamstresses. But, I mean, he's somebody who, he told me, obviously, if you're a big-bodied back and you're a bruiser between the tackles, what are you really going to show at OTAs? That could probably apply to somebody like Caleb Johnson, the third-round rookie But when you're more of a shifty, lining up as a pass catcher, route running back like Kenneth Gainwell, getting on the same page as the quarterbacks and the offensive coordinator this time of year is really beneficial.
Yeah, that's one thing you do see in OTAs. You know, we were just talking about Cole Holcomb. There were a couple reps today where Gainwell was being guarded by Holcomb, and you get to see how both of those guys move in space. Now, it's not an upset that Kenny Gainwell got open and scored a touchdown, but you just want to see the movement of guys like that at this time of the year. And listen, Kenny Gainwell, he played in all situations for the Eagles. He played on third down as well. Now, he's not the biggest back in the world, but he can handle all those duties. Steelers, of course, have Jalen Warren, who could also play on third down and do it very well. So it'll be interesting to see once July, August gets here, how do they distribute all those touches on third downs.
Yeah, we know Caleb Johnson can take a handoff and run with it very far and break some tackles, but as far as the finer parts of his game as a rookie coming in here out of Iowa and the nuances of it, he said he's been trying to pick up pass protection tips from Jalen Warren. He's been trying to pick up, pass receiving tips from Kenny Gainwell. So that's one guy who's got his first OTAs week under his belt. Another one is Will Howard, 6th round pick at quarterback. He said he feels like the whole rookie class has fared well now that the speed ratchets up a little bit. You're around 75 or so other veterans who've been there, done that. And he said there's no guarantees, but he feels comfortable so far.
Yeah, Will Howard ended today's practice by throwing a touchdown pass to Ben Scarano. So
Ben 2.0 to current Ben.
Yeah, there you go. So it's it's good to see those guys get out there and do well. I said this at rookie minicamp, and I think it holds true now. That guy is not fazed by going to the NFL. He's been around in college and at different programs. Kansas State obviously played at a high level at Ohio State. He is not fazed by being in the NFL. He carries himself like an NFL quarterback, and you don't always get that with quarterbacks who come into the league.
Yeah, well, that'll do it for us this week here from OTAs, another OTAs report. We'll see what happens next week. We'll see if some different veterans maybe show up for the second week of this, as a reminder, Ray. And actually, that reminds me, Mike Tomlin hasn't spoken at all to us this week. I think that's a little bit of a break from his usual procedure. I think he at least kind of comes out the first week of OTAs and maybe sets it up a little and gets into some of the esoteric things about planning the agenda and scheduling practices and whatnot. But he didn't even do that. Maybe he doesn't want any of the same questions about a certain quarterback who's not on the roster.
Where's Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
Where's TJ Watt?
Yeah.
How much are you going to pay him? Yeah.
I remember the one year, and it was, you guys didn't ask me about Ryan McCollum. He's not here. Or maybe that was minicamp, but regardless. So we haven't heard from the head coach, but I say that to say they did remove a week of OTAs this year. So effectively, minicamp is now what would have been the old third week of OTAs, but we'll be back for week 2. See if there are any changes afoot for the Steelers. He's Ray Fittipaldo. I'm Brian Batko. He's Chris Carter. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.